Hello, my name is Charles Hart and I'm a video editor here at MinnMax, a place about games, friends, and getting better. Recently, the cohorts did their annual tradition of ranking some of their favorite games of the year, but instead of a typical top 10 list, we like to do 20 games, or 2 10s, named after the 2 N's in the name MinnMax. The end result is hours and hours of debate, all of which you can watch for free right here on YouTube, but if you want a recap of the results, I've got you. Here's MinnMax's 2 10s of 2024. Number 20, Starstruck: The Hands of Time. Watch one trailer for this game and you'll see why its aesthetic stands out in so many cohorts' minds. As toy-like teens play guitars and come of age, giant hands smash their diorama-like world and alter the timeline. Discovered thanks to a community suggestion, it also landed on Kelsey's personal top 10 list. Number 19, Mini-Shoot Adventures. Mini-Shoot Adventures is a bullet hell shoot-'em-up with the structure of a top-down Zelda game, and somehow it's better than the sum of its parts. There's also a random apostrophe in the title that's not particularly important, but we spend a lot of time talking about it. Haley, Kyle, and Ben each had it crack their top 10. Number 18, Diceomancer. Diceomancer is a hand-animated roguelike deck builder that looks a lot like Slay the Spire. The main difference is that you can use dice to override most of the numbers that appear on the screen, turning huge health bars tiny and making weak attacks much stronger. Jeffem fell in love with it, ranking it third on his personal list. Number 17, Manor Lords. In this wonderfully intricate city builder, you're placed in charge of your own medieval hamlet, complete with townsfolk, idyllic scenery, and a bustling economy. It also features real-time strategic medieval warfare, but if you want to keep it peaceful, you can ignore that entirely. That's what Sarah did, and it fell on her list at number 3. Number 16, Kitugami: Path of the Goddess. This is one of the most unexpected drops from this year, pitting players against gorgeously grotesque monsters in an action tower defense hybrid. Kitugami is weird, and that's a big compliment. We're always fans of big studios taking big swings, and in this case, it really paid off. It was on Kelsey's list at number 9 and Kyle's at 4. Number 15, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The second part of the remake of one of the most beloved RPGs of all time is surprisingly different from the first part, this time with a massive open world, a nearly endless stream of minigames, and dozens of hours of added story content to get players to somehow fall even more in love with this iconic cast. Not every cohort was a fan of this one, but it landed at number 7 on Haley's list and was, unsurprisingly, Ben's Game of the Year. Number 14, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Whether you're nostalgic for the films or not, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a fantastic, often goofy immersive sim with a great story and performances to match. Despite coming out this year just a short time before the cohort started their Game of the Year debate, this game stands out as a stellar experience, landing in Jeffem's top 10 and getting the number 3 spot on Ben's list. Number 13, The Finals. This free-to-play shooter treats every match as if it's a live televised game show, pitting several groups of players against one another in a free-for-all competition. The environments are destructible, adding an immersive level of strategy gameplay, and each character class has a unique kit of weapons and abilities that feel great to use. It wasn't just Leo's Game of the Year, he put over 400 hours into it. Number 12, Indica. This game's titular nun has a problem. She keeps having visions of the devil. Throughout the 4-hour experience, this game gets surreal and personal, with Indica escaping using prayer and by pushing large boxes around. This bizarre, puzzle-driven story has stayed in our heads rent-free all year, much like the aforementioned devil. It made it onto Haley's top 10 and was Leo's second favorite game of the year. Number 11, Infinity Nikki. Dress-up games, and games for women in general, are often overlooked by the mainstream industry, so for Infinity Nikki to capture the attention of so many cohorts is a feat in and of itself. But with equal attention given to a densely packed open world and an ever-expanding wardrobe of outfits, Infinity Nikki is a AAA glittery fantasy experience that made it onto Kelsey's top 10 and became Sarah's Game of the Year. Number 10, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. The long-awaited return of the Prince of Persia series dropped earlier in the year, returning to this franchise's early side-scroller days, this time as a Metroidvania. Like many of the series' protagonists, this world has stood the test of time, with this iteration having tense combat and a wide kit of platforming abilities to traverse the map. This game appeared on 3 cohorts' personal lists, including number 4 on Janet's. Number 9, Helldivers II. Given how prevalent shooters are in the history of games, it's hard to make one that feels truly unique, so when Helldivers II managed to do that, it took the world by storm. Players worked together in squads of up to 4 to push back aliens, robots, and other threats to humanity with tight time frames, explosive weaponry, and dynamic weather, making each outing feel like a scene straight from a movie. It made 3 cohorts lists and was Kelsey's second favorite game of the year. Number 8, Laureli and the Laser Eyes. This puzzle game is equal parts creepy and cryptic, putting the player in an old, sort of abandoned mansion to hunt for clues, crack ciphers, and find out the truth behind what happened to the titular Laureli. The puzzles aren't for the faint of heart, but solving them is deeply satisfying, so much so that ended up on 3 cohorts top 10, even earning Kyle's number 2 spot. Number 7, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Kiryu and Ichiban, the stars of the series formerly known as Yakuza, collide in the latest mainline entry, and somehow, RGG Studio just keeps getting better. It's got fun combat, the series' iconic minigames, and one of the most lovable supporting casts of the year. It made it onto 5 cohorts top 10 lists, taking the number 3 slot for both Kyle and Haley. Number 6, Mouthwashing. After a crash horribly wounds the captain of a spaceship called the Tulpar, the rest of the crew has to figure out how to live out the remaining days until they're rescued or perish. What follows is a masterfully crafted horror game with brilliant characters, a gripping plot, and a low-poly aesthetic. Mouthwashing appeared on 3 cohorts lists, peaking at number 2 for Sarah. Number 5, Metaphor Refantasio. The Persona series is one of the most celebrated of the last few decades, so it's no surprise that a fantasy-themed twist on the series would be a hit. With the archetype system, a sprawling story, and some surprisingly pointed political themes, Metaphor Refantasio might even surpass the Persona games. But that's a debate for another day. It appeared on 6 personal lists and was Haley's Game of the Year. Number 4, UFO 50. This is a miracle of game development. Literally 50 full retro-style games jammed into one package to tell the story of a fictional console's life cycle. Jeffem called it a once-in-a-lifetime game and ranked it as his personal Game of the Year. Number 3, Batro. Batro might be up there with Tetris as one of the most solidly designed games of all time. This poker-flavored roguelike is a far deeper experience than it seems on the surface, and once you've waded far enough in to get it, it's already too late. Batro cracked the top 3 of 4 different cohorts' personal lists. Number 2, 1,000 Times Resist. It is remarkable that a science fiction game about an alien invasion, a civilization-ending plague, and a society of cloned teenage girls is one of the most human stories ever told in a video game. This game appeared on 6 cohorts' top 10 lists and was Kelsey's Game of the Year. Finally, MinnMax's Game of the Year for 2024 is Astrobot. Despite incredibly strong competition, we just can't resist Astrobot's charm. It's the best 3D platformer in years, and maybe even of all time, with inventive power-ups, world-class level design, and an insanely catchy soundtrack. Astrobot is a game teeming with joy. It made 6 cohorts' personal top 10s, and was Kyle, Jacob, and Janet's personal Games of the Year. And those are the 2 10s. Remember, if you want to see the full debate that led to the creation of this list, you can see that right here on our YouTube channel. And if you want to see the full unedited versions, you can head on over to patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's to see the uncut versions of all those debates, including the pissy zone, which is a little zone we like to give ourselves at the end of debates to just really lash out and say all the stuff that we were being too polite to hold back during the main debates. Thanks so much, and to see MinnMax's 2025 content, you're in the right place. Thanks for watching.
If you thought, hey, this video wasn't bad, well, there's a whole lot more like it on MinnMax's YouTube channel. Please help us out by subscribing to our channel and checking out the MinnMax Show podcast, also available on your favorite podcast app, the best, most thorough discussion about games on the internet with the deepest dive, our monthly community trivia show with prizes called Trivia Tower, and a whole lot more. Thanks so much for your support, everybody. All you gotta do is click that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it.